Welcome to Quiz with Us. Get ready for NEET PG 2026 Orthopedics, Set 1. This video has 100 high-yield MCQ questions covering fractures and trauma, joint disorders, spine disorders, bone tumors, infections and osteomyelitis, congenital deformities, sports medicine, hand and wrist surgery, amputation and prosthetics, and orthopedic implants. Listen carefully to each question and all 4 options, then choose your answer. The correct answer and detailed explanation follow each question. Let's begin. All the best. Question 1. Gustilo-Anderson type IIIB open fracture is characterized by Option A. Bone loss requiring vascular repair. Option B. No periosteel stripping with 10 cm wound. Option C. Periosteel stripping requiring local free flap. Option D. Massive contamination without vascular injury. The correct answer is C. Periosteel stripping requiring local free flap. In type IIIB, the wound is 10 cm with extensive periosteel stripping and bone exposure. Soft tissue coverage requires local or free flap. Type IIIC adds vascular injury needing repair. Question 2. The unhappy triad of O'Donoghue involves injury to Option A. ACL, PCL, and lateral meniscus. Option B. ACL, medial collateral ligament, and medial meniscus. Option C. PCL, lateral collateral ligament, and lateral meniscus. Option D. ACL, medial collateral ligament, and lateral meniscus. The correct answer is B. ACL, medial collateral ligament, and medial meniscus. O'Donoghue's unhappy triad classically involves ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus, all injured together by a valgus force with external rotation on a planted foot. Question 3. Fat embolism syndrome typically occurs within how many hours of long bone fracture? Option A. 24 to 72 hours. Option B. 6 to 12 hours. Option C. 1 to 6 hours. Option D. 5 to 7 days. The correct answer is A. 24 to 72 hours. Fat embolism syndrome characteristically has a lucid interval of 24 to 72 hours post-fracture before presenting with the classic triad of respiratory distress, petechiae, and neurological signs. Question 4. In compartment syndrome, the critical threshold for fasciotomy is a compartment pressure within how many millimeters of mercury of diastolic blood pressure? Option A. 30 millimeters of mercury. Option B. 20 millimeters of mercury. Option C. 10 millimeters of mercury. Option D. 40 millimeters of mercury. The correct answer is A. 30 millimeters of mercury. Fasciotomy is indicated when compartment pressure is within 30 millimeters of mercury of diastolic BP, delta P less than or equal to 30 millimeters of mercury, regardless of absolute value. This is the Whiteside's criterion. Question 5. A Monteggia fracture dislocation involves Option A. Distal radius fracture with distal radioulnar joint dislocation. Option B. Radial shaft fracture with proximal radioulnar joint dislocation. Option C. Ulnar shaft fracture with proximal radioulnar joint dislocation. Option D. Both bone forearm fracture with elbow dislocation. The correct answer is C. Ulnar shaft fracture with proximal radioulnar joint dislocation. Monteggia is equal to fracture of the proximal middle ulna plus dislocation of the radial head, proximal radioulnar radiohumeral joint. Burrow classification describes 4 types. Question 6. Cole's fracture characteristically shows Option A. Dorsal angulation, radial shortening, dinner fork deformity. Option B. Volar angulation, ulnar deviation, pronation deformity. Option C. Dorsal angulation, radial shortening, supination deformity. Option D. Volar angulation, radial shortening, garden spade deformity. The correct answer is A. Dorsal angulation, radial shortening, dinner fork deformity. Caules fracture, distal radius fracture with dorsal tilt angulation, radial shortening, and radial shift producing the classic dinner fork or silver fork deformity on lateral view. Question 7. Which nerve is most commonly injured in posterior dislocation of the hip? Option A. Sciatic nerve. Option B. Obturator nerve. Option C. Femoral nerve. Option D. Superior gluteal nerve. The correct answer is A. Sciatic nerve. Posterior hip dislocation risks sciatic nerve injury in up to 10-20% of cases, particularly the peroneal division, causing foot drop. The femoral head displaces posteriorly, stretching the nerve. Question 8. Garden stage 3 femoral neck fracture is defined as Option A. Undisplaced incomplete fracture. Option B. Complete fracture with partial displacement. Option C. Complete undisplaced fracture. Option D. Complete fracture with full displacement. The correct answer is B. Complete fracture with partial displacement. Garden classification: I is equal to incomplete impacted, 2 is equal to complete undisplaced, 3 is equal to complete partially displaced, trabecular pattern still partially aligned, intravenous is equal to complete fully displaced. Question 9. The primary blood supply to the femoral head in adults comes from Option A. Lateral femoral circumflex artery. Option B. Medial femoral circumflex artery. Option C. Obturator artery via ligamentum teres. Option D. Superior gluteal artery. The correct answer is B. Medial femoral circumflex artery. In adults, the medial femoral circumflex artery, MFCA, is the dominant blood supply to the femoral head via retinacular vessels. This is why femoral neck fractures cause a vascular necrosis. Question 10. Fracture healing by secondary, endochondral, bone healing requires Option A. Absolute stability with no interfragmentary motion. Option B. Intramedullary blood supply only. Option C. Relative stability with controlled interfragmentary strain. Option D. Periosteal stripping to stimulate callus. The correct answer is C. Relative stability with controlled interfragmentary strain. Secondary bone healing, callus formation, endochondral ossification occurs under relative stability with small interfragmentary movement, strain to 10%. Absolute stability produces primary direct healing without callus. Question 11. The pathological hallmark of rheumatoid arthritis is Option A. Osteophyte formation at joint margins. Option B. Subchondral cyst formation only. Option C. Crystal deposition in synovial fluid. Option D. Pannus formation and synovial hypertrophy. The correct answer is D. Pannus formation and synovial hypertrophy. RA is characterized by pannus, proliferative inflamed synovium, that destroys cartilage and bone. This hyperplastic synovitis is driven by CD4 plus T cells, macrophages, and synoviocytes. Question 12. In gout, which joint is most commonly the first to be affected? Option A. Ankle. Option B. Knee. Option C. First metatarsophalangeal joint. Option D. Wrist. The correct answer is C. First metatarsophalangeal joint. Podagra, acute gout of the first MTP joint, is the classic initial presentation, occurring in 50% of first attacks. Monosodium urate crystals deposit preferentially here due to lower temperature and pH. Question 13. The Trendelenburg test is positive in all of the following except option A, CDH, congenital dislocation of hip. Option B, Pert's disease. Option C, Coxa-Vara. Option D, fracture of greater trochanter. The correct answer is D, fracture of greater trochanter. Trendelenburg sign is positive when abductor mechanism fails, CDH, Pert's, Coxa-Vara, fractured neck of femur, polio. Isolated greater trochanter fracture without abductor disruption may not cause a positive Trendelenburg. Question 14. Pseudogout, calcium pyrophosphate deposition, most commonly affects which joint? Option A, first metatarsophalangeal joint. Option B, knee. Option C, wrist. Option D, hip. The correct answer is B, knee. CPPD disease most commonly causes acute attacks in the knee, chondrocalcinosis of Menasce on X-ray. Unlike gout which favors the first MTP, pseudogout favors large joints, especially the knee. Question 15. Heberden's nodes in osteoarthritis are located at option A, proximal interphalangeal joints. Option B, distal interphalangeal joints. Option C, metacarpophalangeal joints. Option D, wrist joints. The correct answer is B, distal interphalangeal joints. Heberden's nodes is equal to osteophytes at dip joints. Bouchard's nodes is equal to osteophytes at pip joints. Both are characteristic of primary OA. RA typically spares dip joints. Question 16. Septic arthritis in a child most commonly affects which joint? Option A, hip. Option B, elbow. Option C, knee. Option D, ankle. The correct answer is A, hip. The hip is the most common site of septic arthritis in children, followed by knee. It is a surgical emergency due to risk of a vascular necrosis from raised intracapsular pressure compressing the blood supply. Question 17. The sagging rope sign on X-ray is seen in option A, Pert's disease. Option B, septic arthritis of hip. Option C, Coxa-Vara. Option D, ankylosing spondylitis. The correct answer is C, Coxa-Vara. In Coxa-Vara, the neck shaft angle is less than 120 degrees. The sagging rope sign, Hilgenriner's epiphyseal angle, and inverted Y or shepherd's crook deformity are radiological features of Coxa-Vara. Question 18. Which of the following is characteristic of ankylosing spondylitis on X-ray? Option A, flame-shaped osteolysis. Option B, Romanus lesions with disc space widening. Option C, sacral alai erosions only. Option D, bamboo spine with syndesmophytes. The correct answer is D, bamboo spine with syndesmophytes. Ankylosing spondylitis produces syndesmophytes, vertical ossification of annulus fibrosus, bridging vertebral bodies producing bamboo spine. Romanus lesions, corner erosions, are early changes, later fusion gives bamboo appearance. Question 19. Hydroxyatid crystal deposition disease most commonly causes calcification in which tendon? Option A, Achilles tendon. Option B, rotator cuff, supraspinatus. Option C, patella tendon. Option D, biceps tendon. The correct answer is B, rotator cuff, supraspinatus. Calcific tendinitis, hydroxyatid crystal deposition, most commonly affects the supraspinatus tendon of the rotator cuff, causing acute shoulder pain. The near impingement zone is the critical area. Question 20. The most common cause of monoarthritis in a sexually active young adult is option A, gonococcal arthritis. Option B, gout. Option C, reactive arthritis. Option D, pseudogout. The correct answer is A, gonococcal arthritis. Disseminated gonococcal infection is the most common cause of septic monoarthritis in sexually active young adults, 40 years. It presents with migratory polyarthritis, tenosynovitis, then monoarthritis. Question 21. The most common level for prolapsed intervertebral disc, PIVD, in the lumbar spine is option A, L1, L2. Option B, L4, L5. Option C, L3, L4. Option D, L5, S1. The correct answer is B, L4, L5. L4, L5 is the most common level for lumbar disc prolapse, followed by L5, S1. L4, L5 disc prolapse typically compresses the L5 nerve root, causing weakness of extensor hallucis longus and sensory loss over dorsum of foot. Question 22. A patient with L5 nerve root compression will show option A, absent knee jerk, weakness of quadriceps. Option B, weakness of hip flexors, sensory loss overgrown. Option C, absent ankle jerk, weakness of plantar flexion. Option D, weakness of extensor hallucis longus, sensory loss on dorsum of foot. The correct answer is D, weakness of extensor hallucis longus, sensory loss on dorsum of foot. L5 root, EHL weakness, hill walking difficulty, sensory loss dorsum of foot big toe, no reliable reflex change. S1 root, absent ankle jerk, weak plantar flexion, sensory loss lateral foot. Question 23. Spondylolisthesis at L4 on L5 with greater than 75% slip is classified as option A, grade intravenous. Option B, grade 3. Option C, grade I. Option D, grade V, spondyloptosis. The correct answer is A, grade intravenous. Melding grading of spondylolisthesis, grade I is equal to 0, 25%, grade 2 is equal to 25, 50%, grade 3 is equal to 50, 75%, grade intravenous is equal to 75, 100%, grade V, spondyloptosis, is equal to complete slip. Greater than 75% is equal to grade intravenous. Question 24. The string of beads sign on MRI is characteristic of option A, lumbar spinal stenosis. Option B, cervical spondylotic myelopathy. Option C, tuberculosis of spine. Option D, ankylosing spondylitis. The correct answer is C, tuberculosis of spine. Pott's spine, spinal TB, shows the string of beads sign on MRI T2, representing epidural abscess with loculations. Disc space narrowing, vertebral end plate destruction, and paradiscal involvement are hallmarks. Question 25. Klippel-Feil syndrome is characterized by option A, cervical rib causing thoracic outlet syndrome. Option B, atlantoaxial instability with odentoid hypoplasia. Option C, congenital scoliosis with hemivertebrae. Option D, fusion of cervical vertebrae with short neck and restricted motion. The correct answer is D, fusion of cervical vertebrae with short neck and restricted motion. Klippel-Feil, congenital fusion of greater than or equal to two cervical vertebrae, presenting with the classic triad of short neck, low posterior hairline, and restricted neck movement. Associated with Sprengel shoulder and cardiac defects. Question 26. In cervical spondylotic myelopathy, the earliest sign is option A, upper limb weakness. Option B, bladder dysfunction. Option C, loss of pinprick sensation in hands. Option D. Gait disturbance, wide-based spastic gait. The correct answer is D. Gait disturbance, wide-based spastic gait. In CSM, gait disturbance, spastic, wide-based, is typically the earliest symptom because the corticospinal tract fibers to the lower limbs are most peripheral and most compressed by posterior osteophytes. Question 27. The Schuman's disease primarily involves Option A. Apophyseal ring fractures causing juvenile kyphosis. Option B. Idiopathic scoliosis in adolescents. Option C. Spondylolysis at L4, L5. Option D. Congenital kyphosis from vertebral aplasia. The correct answer is A. Apophyseal ring fractures causing juvenile kyphosis. Schuman's disease is equal to juvenile kyphosis due to irregular end plate ossification with Schmerl's nodes and anterior vertebral wedging greater than 5 degrees in greater than or equal to 3 consecutive vertebrae. Affects thoracic spine, T79. Question 28. Cobb angle measurement in scoliosis, surgery is generally indicated when the curve exceeds Option A, 20 degrees. Option B, 30 degrees. Option C, 60 degrees. Option D, 40 degrees. The correct answer is D. 40 degrees. Cobb angle 40-45 degree in adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is the threshold for surgical correction, spinal fusion. Curves 25-40 degree are braced, less than 25 degrees are observed. Curves greater than 50 degrees continue to progress in adulthood. Question 29. Atlantoaxial instability is most commonly associated with Option A, Down syndrome, trisomy 21. Option B, achondroplasia. Option C, Marfan syndrome. Option D, Klippel-Feil syndrome. The correct answer is A. Down syndrome, trisomy 21. Down syndrome has lax transverse atlantal ligament, predisposing to atlantoaxial instability, ADI greater than 5 mm in children. Patients must be screened before contact sports. Also associated with os odontodium. Question 30. The empty box sign on AP X-ray of lumbar spine indicates Option A, vertebral body collapse from osteoporosis. Option B, burst fracture with posterior element disruption. Option C, spondylolysis at pars interarticularis. Option D, spina bifida occulta. The correct answer is B. Burst fracture with posterior element disruption. In burst fracture, both anterior and posterior vertebral walls are disrupted, giving the empty box or burst pattern. Posterior wall retropulsion can compromise the spinal canal. Question 31. Osteosarcoma most commonly occurs in which age group and location? Option A, adults, 50, axial skeleton. Option B, adolescents, metaphysis of long bones, distal femur proximal tibia. Option C, children, 5, diaphysis of tibia. Option D, young adults, epiphysis of long bones. The correct answer is B. Adolescents, metaphysis of long bones, distal femur proximal tibia. Osteosarcoma peaks in the second decade, adolescent growth spurt, occurs in the metaphysis, distal femur, 50%, proximal tibia, 25%, proximal humerus. Second peak, 60 years associated with Paget's disease. Question 32. The classic X-ray finding in osteosarcoma is Option A, punched out lytic lesion without periosteel reaction. Option B, onion peel periosteel reaction. Option C, sunburst pattern with Codman's triangle. Option D, ground glass opacity with thin cortex. The correct answer is C. Sunburst pattern with Codman's triangle. Osteosarcoma, sunburst pattern, perpendicular periosteel spicules, plus Codman's triangle, periosteel elevation at tumor margins. Both represent aggressive periosteel reaction against rapidly growing tumor. Question 33. Ewing's sarcoma most commonly arises from option A, epiphysis of long bones. Option B, diaphysis of long bones or flat bones, pelvis. Option C, metaphysis of long bones. Option D, vertebral body. The correct answer is B. Diaphysis of long bones or flat bones, pelvis. Ewing's sarcoma arises from diaphysis, 50%, of flat bones, pelvis, 25%, ribs, vertebrae. Small round blue cell tumor, EWSR1 FLI1 translocation T, 11, 22. Classic, onion peel, periosteel reaction on X-ray. Question 34. Giant cell tumor, GCT, of bone characteristically occurs in option A, epiphysis extending to subchondral bone in skeletally mature patients. Option B, metaphysis in skeletally immature patients. Option C, diaphysis of long bones. Option D, vertebral pedicle. The correct answer is A. Epiphysis extending to subchondral bone in skeletally mature patients. GCT arises in the epiphysis, extends to subchondral bone in skeletally mature individuals, fused growth plate. Classic soap bubble lytic lesion at distal femur, proximal tibia, distal radius. 5-10% become malignant. Question 35. Multiple myeloma on X-ray characteristically shows option A, punched out lytic lesions, raindrop skull. Option B, osteosclerotic lesions. Option C, soap bubble expansile lesion. Option D, periosteel reaction with cortical thickening. The correct answer is A. Punched out lytic lesions, raindrop skull. Multiple myeloma produces classic, punched out, lytic lesions, no reactive sclerosis, throughout the skeleton, particularly in the skull, raindrop pattern, vertebrae, pelvis, and proximal long bones. Question 36. Osteoid osteoma classically presents with option A, night pain relieved by aspirin. Option B, morning stiffness improving with activity. Option C, pain unrelated to activity with palpable mass. Option D, pathological fracture as first presentation. The correct answer is A. Night pain relieved by aspirin. Osteoid osteoma, benign bone tumor with classic nocturnal pain dramatically relieved by aspirin NSAIDs due to prostaglandin production. Central nidus, 1.5 cm on CT, treated with RFA or surgical excision. Question 37. The candle flame sign on X-ray is seen in option A, osteosarcoma. Option B, Paget's disease of bone. Option C, chondrosarcoma. Option D, enchondroma. The correct answer is B. Paget's disease of bone. In Paget's disease, the candle flame or blade of grass sign represents the advancing lytic front in long bones. Later stages show cortical thickening, bone expansion, and trabecular coarsening. Question 38. Which bone tumor has the highest rate of malignant transformation in Maffucci syndrome? Option A, osteochondroma. Option B, giant cell tumor. Option C, enchondroma. Option D, chondroblastoma. The correct answer is C. Enchondroma. Maffucci syndrome, multiple enchondromas plus soft tissue hemangiomas, carries tilde 25-30% risk of malignant transformation of enchondromas to chondrosarcoma. Ollier disease, enchondromatosis alone, carries tilde 30% risk. Question 39. The most common primary malignant bone tumor in patients 40 years is option A, osteosarcoma. Option B, Ewing's sarcoma. Option C, chondrosarcoma. Option D, multiple myeloma. The correct answer is D, multiple myeloma. In adults, 40 years, multiple myeloma is the most common malignant bone tumor, plasma cell tumor. Chondrosarcoma is the most common primary sarcoma in adults, 40. Metastases outnumber primary tumors overall. Question 40. Periosteel chondroma differs from enchondroma in that it, option A, arises within medullary cavity. Option B, shows endosteel scalloping on X-ray. Option C, has higher malignant potential. Option D, arises on the outer cortical surface. The correct answer is D, arises on the outer cortical surface. Periosteel, juxtacortical, chondroma arises on the outer surface of cortex, causing a saucer-shaped cortical defect. Enchondroma is intramedullary. Periosteel chondroma has benign behavior but must be distinguished from periosteel chondrosarcoma. Question 41. Acute hematogenous osteomyelitis in children most commonly affects option A, diaphysis. Option B, epiphysis. Option C, metaphysis. Option D, superiosteal region. The correct answer is C, metaphysis. In children, the sluggish blood flow in metaphyseal sinusoids, due to absence of phagocytic lining cells, makes this the most vulnerable zone for bacterial seeding. Distal femur and proximal tibia are most common sites. Question 42. The most common causative organism in acute hematogenous osteomyelitis in children is option A, Streptococcus pyogenes. Option B, Salmonella typhi. Option C, Haemophilus influenzae. Option D, Staphylococcus aureus. The correct answer is D, Staphylococcus aureus. Staphylococcus aureus is the most common cause of acute hematogenous osteomyelitis at all ages. MRSA is increasingly prevalent. Salmonella is specifically associated with sickle cell disease. Question 43. Brody's abscess is a form of option A, primary subacute osteomyelitis. Option B, acute hematogenous osteomyelitis. Option C, chronic suppurative osteomyelitis. Option D, tuberculous osteomyelitis. The correct answer is A, primary subacute osteomyelitis. Brody's abscess is equal to subacute osteomyelitis, a localized intraosseous abscess, usually metaphysis of tibia, with a sclerotic rim on X-ray. Represents a contained infection without systemic spread caused by low virulence organisms. Question 44. A sequestrum in chronic osteomyelitis is best defined as option A, reactive new bone surrounding infected area. Option B, area of bone resorption with granulation tissue. Option C, dead bone that has separated from living bone. Option D, sinus tract connecting bone to skin surface. The correct answer is C, dead bone that has separated from living bone. Sequestrum is equal to dead infected bone that has separated from living bone. Involucrum is equal to surrounding reactive new bone. Cloaca is equal to opening in involucrum. Sinus is equal to tract connecting to skin. All features of chronic osteomyelitis. Question 45. Spinal tuberculosis most commonly affects which region of the spine? Option A, cervical. Option B, thoracolumbar junction. Option C, thoracic, lower. Option D, lumbar. The correct answer is B, thoracolumbar junction. Pott's spine most commonly affects the thoracolumbar junction, T12L2, followed by the lower thoracic spine. Two adjacent vertebrae are involved, peridiscal, with disc destruction, unlike pyogenic osteomyelitis which may spare the disc. Question 46. The psoas abscess in spinal tuberculosis is best drained by option A, extraperitoneal ilioinguinal approach. Option B, anterior approach. Option C, posterior approach. Option D, transforaminal approach. The correct answer is A, extraperitoneal ilioinguinal approach. Psoas abscess from spinal TB tracks along the psoas sheath. The extraperitoneal ilioinguinal approach allows drainage without entering the peritoneum. Alternatively, CT-guided drainage is now preferred in many centers. Question 47. Ciani made a classification of osteomyelitis is based on option A, causative organism and antibiotic sensitivity. Option B, site of infection and patient age. Option C, duration of infection and presence of sequestrum. Option D, anatomic type of bone involvement and host physiology. The correct answer is D, anatomic type of bone involvement and host physiology. Ciani Meder classifies chronic osteomyelitis by anatomic type. I is equal to medullary, 2 is equal to superficial, 3 is equal to localized, intravenous is equal to diffuse, times host type, A is equal to normal, B is equal to compromised locally systemically, C is equal to treatment worse than disease. Question 48. In osteomyelitis due to sickle cell disease, the commonest causative organism is option A, Staphylococcus aureus. Option B, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Option C, Klebsiella pneumoniae. Option D, Salmonella species. The correct answer is D, Salmonella species. While Staph aureus is the most common cause of osteomyelitis overall, Salmonella species are specifically and classically associated with osteomyelitis in sickle cell disease patients due to bone infarcts and functional asplenia. Question 49. Involucrum in chronic osteomyelitis is formed by option A, dead cortical bone. Option B, fibrous tissue replacing medullary cavity. Option C, new bone laid down by elevated periosteum. Option D, granulation tissue forming cloaca. The correct answer is C, new bone laid down by elevated periosteum. Involucrum is equal to reactive new bone, living, formed by the elevated periosteum surrounding the sequestrum, dead bone. It is the body's attempt to wall off infection. Cloacae are perforations in the involucrum for pus drainage. Question 50. The gold standard investigation for diagnosing osteomyelitis is option A, bone biopsy and culture. Option B, technetium bone scan. Option C, MRI with gadolinium contrast. Option D, plain X-ray. The correct answer is A, bone biopsy and culture. Bone biopsy with culture and sensitivity is the gold standard, identifies the causative organism and guides antibiotic therapy. MRI is the best imaging modality, sensitivity tilde 90%. X-rays become positive only after 10 to 14 days. Question 51. The Barlow test for congenital dislocation of hip, CDH-DDH, detects option A, a dislocated hip being relocated. Option B, a located but dislocatable hip. Option C, fixed hip dislocation in older children. Option D, a vascular necrosis of femoral head. The correct answer is B, a located but dislocatable hip. Barlow test, with hip flexed and adducted, posterior pressure dislocates a dislocatable but currently located hip. Ottolini test, relocates an already dislocated hip, clunk of relocation. Barlow tests instability, Ottolini confirms dislocation. Question 52. The gold standard investigation for diagnosing DDH in infants 6 months is option A, plain X-ray of pelvis. Option B, CT scan of hip. Option C, ultrasound, graph classification. Option D, MRI of hips. The correct answer is C. Ultrasound, graph classification. Hip ultrasound, graph method, is the gold standard in infants 6 months because the femoral head is cartilaginous and not visible on X-ray. It measures alpha angle, bony acetabulum greater than or equal to 60 degree is equal to normal, and beta angle. Question 53. CTEV, congenital talus equinovarus clubfoot, components remembered by CAVE include option A, calcaneus, abduction, valgus, extension. Option B, calcaneus, adduction, varus, extension. Option C, cavus, abduction, valgus, equinus. Option D, cavus, adduction, varus, equinus. The correct answer is D. Cavus, adduction, varus, equinus. Cave mnemonic, cavus, high arch, adduction, forefoot, varus, hindfoot, equinus, ankle plantar flexion. Clubfoot is a complex 3D deformity. Treated by Ponseti method, serial casting plus Achilles tenotomy plus bracing. Question 54. Peart's disease affects which age group and pathologically involves option A, neonates, infection of femoral head. Option B, teenagers, apophysitis of tibial tubercle. Option C, adolescents, slipped capital femoral epiphysis. Option D, children 4 to 8 years, idiopathic avian of femoral head. The correct answer is D. Children 4 to 8 years, idiopathic avian of femoral head. Peart's, leg calf Peart's disease, idiopathic avascular necrosis of the femoral head in children 4 to 8 years, peak tilde 6 years, more common in boys. Involves revascularization and reossification phases, risk of femoral head deformity. Question 55. SCFE, slipped capital femoral epiphysis, is most commonly seen in option A, thin, tall adolescent boys. Option B, obese adolescent boys during growth spurt. Option C, girls aged 4 to 8 years. Option D, elderly patients with osteoporosis. The correct answer is B. Obese adolescent boys during growth spurt. SCFE, obese adolescent males, BMI 95th percentile, during growth spurt 10 to 16 years. The capital femoral epiphysis slips postero-inferiorly. Klein's line along superior femoral neck fails to intersect epiphysis, is a diagnostic sign. Question 56. Sprengel's shoulder, congenital high scapula, is associated with option A, Erb's palsy. Option B, Madelung's deformity. Option C, Poland syndrome. Option D, Klippel-Feil syndrome. The correct answer is D. Klippel-Feil syndrome. Sprengel's shoulder, elevated, medially rotated scapula with restricted abduction, is associated with Klippel-Feil syndrome, cervical vertebral fusion, in tilde 30% of cases. An amovertebral bone may connect scapula to vertebra. Question 57. In Madelung's deformity, there is option A, dorsal subluxation of distal ulna with volar tilt of distal radius. Option B, short ulna with radial bowing. Option C, absent radius with radial deviation of wrist. Option D, lateral condyle dysplasia with elbow valgus. The correct answer is A. Dorsal subluxation of distal ulna with volar tilt of distal radius. Madelung's deformity, disorder of the volar-ulnar distal radial physis causing shortened, bowed radius with volar tilt plus dorsal subluxation of distal ulna, prominent ulnar head. Part of Leriviel dischondrostiosis. Question 58. Osteogenesis imperfecta type 2, lethal perinatal form, is characterized by option A, blue sclerae, normal teeth, no fractures. Option B, dentinogenesis imperfecta without skeletal fragility. Option C, mild deformity, autosomal dominant, normal lifespan. Option D, multiple intrauterine fractures, crumpled long bones, death at birth. The correct answer is D. Multiple intrauterine fractures, crumpled long bones, death at birth. OI type 2, autosomal recessive, severe kernel 1A1 kernel 1A2 mutation, beaded ribs, crumpled long bones with multiple intrauterine fractures, blue sclerae, universally lethal perinatally. Type I is mildest, type 3 is progressive deforming. Question 59. Achondroplasia is caused by a mutation in option A, kernel 1A1 gene. Option B, FGFR3 gene. Option C, COM gene. Option D, EXT1 EXT2 gene. The correct answer is B. FGFR3 gene. Achondroplasia is equal to FGFR3, fibroblast growth factor receptor 3, gain of function mutation, P GLY380 ergin tilde 99%. Autosomal dominant, but 80% are new mutations. Results in impaired endochondral ossification with rhizomelic shortening. Question 60. The term coxa vulga refers to a neckshaft angle, option A, greater than 135 degrees. Option B, between 120 to 135 degrees. Option C, less than 120 degrees. Option D, equal to 90 degrees. The correct answer is A. Greater than 135 degrees. Normal adult neckshaft angle is equal to 125-135 degree. Coxa vulga is equal to greater than 135 degrees, increased, as in CDH polio. Coxa vara is equal to less than 120 degrees, decreased, as in rickets spaghettis. Coxa vulga predisposes to hip subluxation, coxa vara causes limp. Question 61. The Lachman test is the most sensitive test for option A, PCL injury. Option B, MCL injury. Option C, ACL injury. Option D, lateral meniscus tear. The correct answer is C. ACL injury. Lachman test, knee in 20-30 degrees flexion, anterior drawer on tibia most sensitive, tilde 85%, for ACL injury because it avoids hamstring guarding that can obscure the anterior drawer test at 90 degrees. A positive, Mushi, endpoint indicates ACL disruption. Question 62. McMurray's test is used to diagnose option A, ACL tear. Option B, meniscal injury. Option C, patellofemoral syndrome. Option D, collateral ligament injury. The correct answer is B. Meniscal injury. McMurray test, with knee flexed, external rotation plus valgus stress tests medial meniscus, internal rotation plus varus stress tests lateral meniscus. A painful click clunk indicates a meniscal tear. Sensitivity tilde 70%. Question 63. Rotator cuff tear most commonly involves which tendon? Option A, infraspinatus. Option B, subscapularis. Option C, supraspinatus. Option D, teres minor. The correct answer is C. Supraspinatus. Supraspinatus is the most commonly torn rotator cuff tendon, tilde 90% of tears, occurring at the critical zone, 1 cm from its insertion, watershed area of poor vascularity. Presence with painful arc, 60-120 degree, and weakness in abduction. Question 64. The O'Brien active compression test is positive in pathology of option A, rotator cuff. Option B, acromioclavicular joint and slap lesion. Option C, glenohumeral instability. Option D, bicipital tendinitis. The correct answer is B, acromioclavicular joint and slap lesion. O'Brien test, with arm forward flexed 90 degrees, adducted, internally rotated, thumb down, pain reproduced. Pain relieved with supination, palm up, is equal to positive for AC joint or slap lesion pathology. Question 65. Unhappy triad, O'Donoghue, is most commonly caused by Option A, direct blow to lateral knee during contact sport. Option B, hyperextension with axial loading. Option C, valgus force with external rotation on planted foot. Option D, varus force with internal rotation. The correct answer is C, valgus force with external rotation on planted foot. The classic mechanism is a valgus stress with external rotation of the leg on a planted foot, example tackled from the lateral side in football, injuring ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus simultaneously. Question 66. Achilles tendon rupture is best clinically confirmed by Option A, Homan's sign. Option B, Thompson-Simmons squeeze test. Option C, anterior drawer at ankle. Option D, Talar tilt test. The correct answer is B, Thompson-Simmons squeeze test. Thompson-Simmons test, patient prone, squeeze the calf, absence of plantar flexion is equal to complete Achilles rupture. Loss of plantar flexion confirms the tendon is no longer transmitting force. MRI confirms but is not needed clinically. Question 67. Tennis elbow, lateral epicondylitis, involves pathology of which tendon origin? Option A, flexor carpi radialis. Option B, extensor carpi radialis brevis, ECRB. Option C, Anconius. Option D, supinator. The correct answer is B, extensor carpi radialis brevis, ECRB. Tennis elbow is equal to tendinopathy angiofibroblastic degeneration at the origin of extensor carpi radialis brevis, ECRB, at the lateral epicondyle. Resisted wrist extension with elbow extended reproduces pain, Cozen's test. Question 68. The most common mechanism of anterior shoulder dislocation is Option A, abduction, external rotation, and extension. Option B, hyperflexion and internal rotation. Option C, direct blow to posterior shoulder. Option D, hyperextension and axial loading. The correct answer is A, abduction, external rotation, and extension. Anterior shoulder dislocation, most common, tilde 96% forced abduction plus external rotation plus extension, the arm is driven forward off the glenoid. Creates Hill-Sachs lesion, posterolateral humeral head, and Bankart lesion, anterior glenoid labrum. Question 69. A Jones fracture is a fracture of the Option A, distal fifth metatarsal, avulsion fracture. Option B, base of the proximal phalanx of fifth toe. Option C, cuboid bone. Option D, proximal fifth metatarsal at the metaphyseal diphyseal junction. The correct answer is D, proximal fifth metatarsal at the metaphyseal diphyseal junction. Jones fracture is equal to fracture at the metaphyseal diphyseal junction of fifth metatarsal, zone 2, prone to non-union due to poor vascularity. Distinct from avulsion fracture of the tuberosity, zone 1, which heals well, by its more distal location. Question 70. Patellofemoral pain syndrome, runner's knee, is most associated with Option A, overuse with quadriceps imbalance and lateral patella tracking. Option B, direct trauma to the patella. Option C, meniscal tear causing anterior knee pain. Option D, Hoffa fat pad impingement. The correct answer is A. Overuse with quadriceps imbalance and lateral patellar tracking. Patellofemoral syndrome, anterior knee pain worsened by stairs, squatting, prolonged sitting. Caused by malalignment lateral tracking of patella due to VMO weakness, tight ITB, increased Q angle. Clark's test, inhibiting patella, reproduces pain. Question 71. Carpal tunnel syndrome is caused by compression of which structure? Option A, median nerve in carpal tunnel. Option B, ulnar nerve at Guyot's canal. Option C, radial nerve at radial groove. Option D, anterior interosseous nerve. The correct answer is A. Median nerve in carpal tunnel. CTS is equal to compression of the median nerve within the carpal tunnel, floor is equal to carpal bones, roof is equal to flexor retinaculum. Most common entrapment neuropathy. Presence with nocturnal hand pain numbness in radial 3.5 digits, thinner wasting in advanced cases. Question 72. Farley's test for carpal tunnel syndrome involves Option A, sustained wrist flexion for 60 seconds reproducing symptoms. Option B, tapping over the carpal tunnel, Tinel sign. Option C, active wrist extension against resistance. Option D, compression of carpal tunnel with thumb. The correct answer is A. Sustained wrist flexion for 60 seconds reproducing symptoms. Farley's test, bilateral wrist flexion held for 60 seconds, reproduction of median nerve symptoms, tingling, numbness, in the radial 3.5 digits is positive. Sensitivity tilde 70%. Tinel sign is equal to percussion over carpal tunnel. Question 73. Dupuytren's contracture classically involves Option A, palmar aponeurosis with flexion contracture of ring and little fingers. Option B, dorsal tendon sheath with extension contracture. Option C, intrinsic muscles causing Swannick deformity. Option D, radial collateral ligament of thumb MCP. The correct answer is A. Palmar aponeurosis with flexion contracture of ring and little fingers. Dupuytren's contracture, fibromatosis of palmar aponeurosis causing progressive flexion contracture, most commonly of ring, fourth, and little, fifth, fingers. Associated with alcoholic cirrhosis, diabetes, epilepsy, Peyronie's disease. Question 74. De Quervain's tenosynovitis involves which tendons? Option A, abductor pollicis longus, APL, and extensor pollicis brevis, EPB. Option B, extensor pollicis longus, EPL. Option C, flexor pollicis longus, FPL. Option D, extensor carpi radialis longus, ECRL. The correct answer is A. Abductor pollicis longus, APL, and extensor pollicis brevis, EPB. De Quervain's stenosing tenosynovitis of the first dorsal compartment, APL plus EPB tendons, at the radial styloid. Finkelstein's test, thumb and fist, ulnar deviation, reproduces pain. Common in new mothers, mommy thumb. Question 75. A mallet finger deformity results from Option A, rupture of central slip of extensor tendon. Option B, rupture of volar plate of pip joint. Option C, avulsion of FDP from distal phalanx. Option D, rupture of terminal slip of extensor tendon at dip joint. The correct answer is D. Rupture of terminal slip of extensor tendon at dip joint. Mallet finger, avulsion of the terminal extensor tendon from the distal phalanx, with or without bony fragment, causing inability to actively extend dip joint. Treated by splinting dip in extension for 6 to 8 weeks. Question 76. Scaphoid fractures most commonly occur at Option A, distal pole. Option B, proximal pole. Option C, waist, middle third. Option D, tubercle. The correct answer is C. Waist, middle third. Scaphoid waist fracture is most common, till the 70%. Proximal pole fractures carry highest AVN risk, 30-40%, due to retrograde blood supply. The scaphoid's retrograde vascularity makes proximal fractures prone to non-union and AVN. Question 77. The boutonniere deformity in the finger results from option A, rupture of terminal extensor slip, dip flexion, pip extension. Option B, contracture of flexor digitorum profundus. Option C, rupture of intrinsic muscles, clawing. Option D, rupture of central slip, pip flexion, dip hyperextension. The correct answer is D. Rupture of central slip, pip flexion, dip hyperextension. Boutonniere is equal to central slip rupture at pip joint lateral bands displace volarly pip flexion plus dip hyperextension. Swannick deformity is opposite, pip hyperextension plus dip flexion, intrinsic tightness or FDS rupture. Question 78. The zone of the flexor tendon in the digital sheath, no man's land, is option A, zone I. Option B, zone 2. Option C, zone 3. Option D, zone intravenous. The correct answer is B. Zone 2. Zone 2, no man's land, is equal to between distal palmar crease and middle of middle phalanx, where both FDS and FDP tendons run together in a tight sheath. Primary tendon repair here is technically demanding, historically had poor results, hence, no man's land. Question 79. Trigger finger, stenosing tenosynovitis, most commonly affects which digit? Option A, index finger. Option B, ring finger. Option C, middle finger. Option D, a little finger. The correct answer is B. Ring finger. Trigger finger, stenosing tenosynovitis at a 1 pulley, most commonly affects the ring finger, fourth digit, followed by middle and little fingers. Corticosteroid injection into the tendon sheath is first-line treatment. Question 80. Hypothenar hammer syndrome is caused by option A, repeated trauma to the radial artery. Option B, vibration injury to digital arteries. Option C, repetitive trauma to the ulnar artery at Guyot's canal. Option D, thoracic outlet compression of subclavian artery. The correct answer is C. Repetitive trauma to the ulnar artery at Guyot's canal. Hypothenar hammer syndrome, repeated blunt trauma to the hypothenar eminence, using the palm as a hammer, causes thrombosis aneurysm of the ulnar artery at Guyot's canal, leading to ischemia of ulnar digits. Question 81. The most common cause of amputation in developed countries is option A, trauma. Option B, infection. Option C, malignancy. Option D, peripheral vascular disease, diabetes, atherosclerosis. The correct answer is D. Peripheral vascular disease, diabetes, atherosclerosis. In developed countries, peripheral vascular disease, PVD, primarily diabetic angiopathy and atherosclerosis, accounts for 80% of all amputations. Trauma is the leading cause in developing countries and young patients. Question 82. SYME's amputation is performed at the level of option A, transmetatarsal. Option B, below-knee, tibial metaphysis. Option C, ankle, through the ankle joint with heel flap. Option D, through the talus. The correct answer is C. Ankle, through the ankle joint with heel flap. SYME's amputation is equal to disarticulation at the ankle joint with retention of the heel pad for end bearing. Preserves limb length and allows end bearing walking, with or without prosthesis. Good for PVD with viable heel skin. Question 83. The ideal stump length for a below-knee, transtibial, amputation prosthetic fitting is option A, as short as possible. Option B, 2/3 of tibial length from the knee. Option C, 12 to 15 centimeters from tibial tuberosity. Option D, equal to the contralateral tibia length. The correct answer is C, 12 to 15 centimeters from tibial tuberosity. Ideal BK stump, 12 to 15 centimeters of tibia from the tibial tuberosity, just below the knee. This preserves knee function and provides adequate lever arm for prosthesis. Too short is equal to poor lever arm, too long is equal to poor soft tissue coverage. Question 84. Phantom limb pain is best explained by option A, peripheral nerve regeneration in the stump. Option B, neuroma formation at the stump. Option C, psychogenic disorder. Option D, cortical reorganization in the somatosensory cortex. The correct answer is D, cortical reorganization in the somatosensory cortex. Phantom limb pain, maladaptive cortical reorganization in the primary somatosensory cortex, S1, after amputation, the cortical map for the amputated limb is invaded by adjacent representations. Mirror therapy exploits this by tricking the brain. Question 85. The most important muscle to preserve in above-knee, transfemoral, amputation for prosthetic function is option A, tensor fascia lata. Option B, rectus femoris. Option C, adductor magnus. Option D, biceps femoris. The correct answer is C, adductor magnus. Adductor magnus myodesis, attachment to the distal femur, in transfemoral amputation maintains adductor tone, prevents abduction contracture, Trendelenburg, and creates a cylindrical stump that interfaces better with the prosthetic socket. Question 86. Krickenberg amputation is indicated in option A, bilateral lower limb amputees who cannot use prosthesis. Option B, disarticulation at the wrist for replantation failure. Option C, bilateral forearm amputees, especially blind patients. Option D, through elbow amputation for children. The correct answer is C, bilateral forearm amputees, especially blind patients. Krickenberg procedure converts a forearm stump into a functional pincer by separating the radius and ulna. Especially valuable for bilateral upper limb amputees who are blind, allows tactile sensation. Rarely done due to poor cosmesis. Question 87. A neuroma at an amputation stump is best prevented by option A, cutting the nerve at the same level as bone. Option B, dividing the nerve proximally under tension so it retracts into soft tissue. Option C, suturing the nerve to surrounding fascia. Option D, capping the nerve with silicone. The correct answer is B, dividing the nerve proximally under tension so it retracts into soft tissue. Neuromas form whenever a peripheral nerve is cut. To minimize symptomatic neuroma, divide the nerve sharply under gentle traction so it retracts well proximal to the wound, where it is surrounded by cushioned soft tissue and not subject to direct pressure. Question 88. The prosthetic socket for a below-knee amputee typically applies pressure over option A, patellar tendon and posterior calf, PTB socket. Option B, tibial crest and fibular head. Option C, entire stump uniformly. Option D, gastrocnemius muscle belly only. The correct answer is A, patellar tendon and posterior calf, PTB socket. The patellar tendon bearing, PTB, socket distributes weight through pressure-tolerant areas, patellar tendon, medial tibial flare, fibular shaft, and relieves pressure over pressure-sensitive areas, tibial crest, fibular head, bony prominences. Question 89. Choke syndrome in a prosthetic stump occurs due to option A, bacterial infection in the stump sock. Option B. Venous congestion from a tight proximal socket brim. Option C. Arterial insufficiency from prosthetic pressure. Option D. Heterotopic ossification at the stump tip. The correct answer is B. Venous congestion from a tight proximal socket brim. Choke syndrome. A tight proximal socket brim acts as a tonic-wet, impeding venous return from the stump, causing distal stump swelling, skin breakdown, and a ring of hyperpigmentation fibrosis. Treated by socket modification. Question 90. The most common complication of amputation stump is Option A. Contracture of the proximal joint. Option B. Stump ulceration. Option C. Phantom pain. Option D. Osteomyelitis of the residual bone. The correct answer is A. Contracture of the proximal joint. Joint contracture, hip flexion abduction in AK amputation, knee flexion in BK amputation, is the most common stump complication if physiotherapy is delayed. It makes prosthetic fitting difficult and must be prevented by early positioning and exercise. Question 91. The principle of dynamic hip screw, DHS, fixation for intertrochanteric fractures relies on Option A. Rigid fixation preventing all motion. Option B. Intramedullary load sharing. Option C. Controlled collapse along the screw axis with compression. Option D. Circlage wiring of fracture fragments. The correct answer is C. Controlled collapse along the screw axis with compression. DHS allows controlled dynamic collapse of the fracture along the barrel screw axis, producing compression at the fracture site. This stimulates healing. It is ideal for stable intertrochanteric fractures with intact posteromedial cortex. Question 92. Titanium is preferred over stainless steel for orthopedic implants primarily because of Option A. Lower cost. Option B. Easier machining and implant manufacture. Option C. Greater tensile strength. Option D. Superior biocompatibility and osseointegration, lower modulus of elasticity. The correct answer is D. Superior biocompatibility and osseointegration, lower modulus of elasticity. Titanium, better biocompatibility, native TiO2 oxide layer, osseointegration, used in cementless implants, lower elastic modulus, (110 GPa versus steel 200 GPa, reduces stress shielding, MRI compatible. Trade-off, more scratch-resistant surfaces required. Question 93. Stress shielding around a rigid femoral stem in total hip arthroplasty leads to Option A. Periprosthetic osteosclerosis. Option B. Increased bone remodeling at the stem tip. Option C. Cortical bone resorption due to reduced strain. Option D. Equal load distribution across the proximal femur. The correct answer is C. Cortical bone resorption due to reduced strain. Stress shielding. A stiff implant bears too much load, depriving the surrounding bone of its normal mechanical stimulus, Wolff's law. The bone resorbs, especially proximally, due to disuse. This weakens the bone-implant interface over time. Question 94. The Ilizarov apparatus works on the principle of Option A. Rigid internal fixation. Option B. Compression plating. Option C. Distraction osteogenesis, tension stress effect. Option D. Intramedullary nailing. The correct answer is C. Distraction osteogenesis, tension stress effect. Ilizarov principle, slow, steady distraction, 1 mm day in 4 increments, across a corticotomy stimulates regenerate bone formation, bone grows in the gap. Used for lengthening, deformity correction, non-union treatment. Corticotomy preserves periosteel and medullary blood supply. Question 95. A lag screw achieves interfragmentary compression by Option A. threading in both fracture fragments. Option B, using a washer to distribute force. Option C, being inserted perpendicular to the fracture plane. Option D, being threaded only in the far, distal, fragment, with a gliding hole in the near cortex. The correct answer is D. Being threaded only in the far, distal, fragment, with a gliding hole in the near cortex. Lag screw technique, gliding hole in near cortex. Diameter is equal to outer thread diameter plus thread purchase only in far cortex. As the screw is tightened, the near fragment is pulled against the far fragment, generating interfragmentary compression. Question 96. The cement mantle in cemented total knee arthroplasty ideally should be option A, as thin as possible to maximize bone preservation. Option B, applied only to the tibial component. Option C, thicker posteriorly to compensate for flexion forces. Option D, 2 to 5 mm uniform throughout, free of voids. The correct answer is D. 2 to 5 mm uniform throughout, free of voids. PMMA cement mantle, ideal thickness 2 to 5 mm, uniform, with no voids. Voids is equal to stress concentrations cement fracture loosening. Cement interdigitates with cancellous bone to create a mechanical interlock. Pressurization improves penetration. Question 97. The bearing couple in total hip arthroplasty with lowest wear rates is option A, metal on polyethylene. Option B, ceramic on ceramic. Option C, metal on metal. Option D, oxidized zirconium on polyethylene. The correct answer is B. Ceramic on ceramic. Ceramic on ceramic bearing, alumina or zirconiatophane alumina, produces the lowest volumetric wear of any hip bearing couple. Disadvantage, squeaking, catastrophic fracture, rare. XLPE, cross-linked polyethylene, on ceramic also performs very well. Question 98. Intramedullary nailing achieves fracture stability primarily through option A, cortical purchase of locking screws. Option B, external fixation supplementation. Option C, periosteel callus stimulation. Option D, load sharing between nail and bone cortex. The correct answer is D. Load sharing between nail and bone cortex. Intramuscular nails are load-sharing devices. The nail and bone cortex share the bending and torsional loads. This distinguishes them from plates, load-bearing. Locking screws prevent rotation and shortening at the fracture. Allows early weight bearing. Question 99. Heterotopic ossification, HO, after total hip arthroplasty is best prevented by option A, prophylactic antibiotics perioperatively. Option B, early aggressive physiotherapy. Option C, single dose of radiation or indomethacin. Option D, cementless fixation technique. The correct answer is C. Single dose of radiation or indomethacin. HO prophylaxis, NSAIDs, indomethacin 25 mg 3 times daily for 6 weeks, or a single post-operative dose of radiation, 700 cGy within 72 hours, are evidence-based methods. Risk factors, previous HO, ankylosing spondylitis, hypertrophic OA, male sex. Question 100. The most common cause of failure of total knee arthroplasty, TKA, requiring revision is option A, infection. Option B, aseptic loosening. Option C, instability. Option D, periprosthetic fracture. The correct answer is B. Aseptic loosening. Aseptic loosening is the most common cause of late TKA failure, 5 years, followed by infection and instability. Early failure, 2 years, is more commonly due to infection. Polyethylene wear debris triggers osteolysis leading to aseptic loosening. Congratulations on completing NEET PG Orthopedics, Set 1. That was 100 challenging questions spanning fractures and trauma, joint disorders, spine disorders, bone tumors, infections and osteomyelitis, congenital deformities, sports medicine, hand and wrist surgery, amputation and prosthetics, and orthopedic implants. How many did you get right? Drop your score in the comments below. If this video helped you, please subscribe to Quiz with Us, hit the like button, and share this with your NEET PG friends. To get the orthopedics PDF notes with all 100 questions and detailed explanations, WhatsApp us at +9 18907289865 and pay just ₹60 via Google Pay. Set 2 is coming soon, stay tuned, keep studying, and keep winning.